Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Provost, and you're watching Provost Park Pass. And I am sitting here in my hotel in Orlando, Florida. This morning, I went to Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. Also, this morning, I watched what they call Destination D23. And there's a lot of emotions that are going on about this. Some people are excited. A lot of negative energy going on, and I want to kind of address that. I want to give a brutally honest review of what I think is going on right now with Disney and the Disney fans. I don't think we're all on the same page. Now, after I'm done giving you this, my thoughts, my 2 cents on this, I would like it if you want to put it down in the comments down below what you think is going on. You tell me, you could say, Chris, I think you're completely right, or Chris, man, you're bananas. That's the farthest, you're way off base. That doesn't make any sense at all. I'd like to hear you guys' comments because maybe I'm missing something. But before we get to the meat of all this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You guys, we have a whole bunch of new content coming out. Lots of Disney secrets, Disney Halloween, cool things about Disney cruises, all these things that you guys are going to want to see. So hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification. And if you're feeling really generous, hit that like button. All right, so let's get started here. Before I started YouTube, I haven't always been like this goofy little YouTuber. I actually worked in the professional world for about 20 years, had a very successful career. I like business a lot, and I started YouTube as a hobby, and then that ended up just kind of overtaking my life. So now this is what I do. But before YouTube, it was all business all the time for me. And I like to look at things through a business perspective. And what I want to talk about is setting the client's expectations. This is something that's super important in the business world. One of the most important things, and I think that's might be what's going on right now with Disney and the Disney fans, is the expectations have not been set and they're not being met. When you are a small startup company, you don't really worry about setting the client expectations. All you're focused on is your product. Get your product out and going, and then hopefully find an audience who will purchase your product. But once you get your product out and going and you start selling your product, then what becomes very important is the client's expectations of your product. If your product is awesome and working great, but it's not meeting the client's expectations, they're not going to buy from you again. There's not going to be any client. There's not going to be any client loyalty. They're not going to be happy with you. So you want to put what you're trying to do as in the business world is I'm trying to tell you what your expectations should be. That way, when you purchase my product, your expectations are met because I already told you what your expectations should be. Then you buy the product. The product does what I tell you it's going to do. And then you're satisfied and you become a loyal client. And I think that's where we're having a huge miss right now with Disney is these client expectations. And I think I can prove it. I'll tell you why in just a second. D23, for those of you who don't know, D23 is where Disney makes all these huge giant announcements, right? They make their announcements of what's going to be coming in the future and what's going to be happening. And for the big hardcore Disney fans, they buy tickets, they go to this. It's almost like a rock concert. There's all kinds of things. It's really very, very fun. And this is where they had it in this right today. They had Destination D23 today. They had it in Florida. They had this D23. They made some announcements. And I was watching these announcements live, and I was also reading people's comments. They had comments going, and it was fascinating to read people's comments of what's going on in real time and what's being announced on stage at Destination D23. And that's when I started realizing, I'm like, okay, we have client expectations. I think this is what's happened. This is my personal theory. D23, well, Disney used to be such an innovative, forward-thinking company that they had all these great projects coming down the pipe, and they wanted to make sure that they controlled the narrative, right? They didn't want anybody to announce what's going to be happening. So they came up with this idea for like D23. This is in a nutshell, kind of coming up with the idea. But D23 allowed Disney to make all the announcements of what's going to be happening. They got to build a lot of hype around these things, and they got to control the narrative. And I would think maybe like 10 years ago, you might have a Disney Imagineer. They're like, oh my gosh, it's only 6 more months till D23. I want to tell everybody about my project today. And everybody's like, calm down, Chris. Calm down. In 6 months, everybody's going to know all about this. Just wait till D23, and then we can announce this amazing ride that you're working on or attraction that you're working on, whatever it is. It's going to be awesome. And I think that's people, I think as Disney consumers, we still feel like D23 is at that level. I think Disney has actually dialed it down a notch. Disney now is using D23 to do things, to start making these huge, massive announcements. They're using D23 to announce things like meet and greets, character meet and greets. And as a Disney fan, we're not used to that. We want these massive, huge announcements. So I can show you this. I don't have my whiteboard because I'm not home, but I have my little handy dandy thing right here. Okay, see this little circle and this little Mickey Mouse? This Mickey Mouse is the Disney product, okay? As long as the right here is our expectations. As long as the Disney product lands within our expectations, we are going to be very happy as a Disney fan. We love that. But the problem is, if what they announce goes outside of our expectations for Disney, like they announce and it's out here, then all of a sudden we get upset. We don't like what they're announcing, or we're like, what is it talking about? I'll give you an example. So if I bought a car and I liked my car, but I was like, man, I wish my car had air conditioning. It's still somewhat in the realm of my expectations, so I'm still pretty happy with the car, right? Or I could even say, man, I wish I had automatic windows. Still in the realm of my expectations. But if I bought a car, I'm like, man, I hate this car. There's no reverse. It's only got 3 tires. Now I'm way out here. I'm outside the expectation of the product, way outside this. And now I'm angry. I'm like, I'm not going to buy that car again. My expectation was not met. And I think that what's happening is when Disney is using D23 as a different way, our expectations maybe aren't being met as a Disney fan. Here's an example why I'm starting to think this. Today at D23, it started off, it was pretty cool. Josh D'Amaro gets out there, he's talking, and guess who comes out there? We got Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog, and they're talking, and we got Dave, I can't remember his name, he's the guy who did, the voice of Gonzo and all these things, and they have him on stage, and it kicks off with the Muppets. We're talking the Muppets. We're like, holy cow, what is going on? And as Miss Piggy's exiting the stage, what does she say? She's like, well, she dropped a bomb, that there's going to be more Muppets and more music coming. And so this was at the very beginning of this panel, right? We got more Muppets and more music. Now, remember, just talking about expectations, right? We think that this is going to be something huge at D23. So all the fans immediately start speculating, like, oh my gosh, people start saying, there's going to be a new Muppet ride. This is going to be awesome. They're going to announce a new Muppet ride. This is going to be awesome. Or they start talking about, you know what things are happening? They're going to retheme the Rock and Roller Coaster, and it's going to be Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem. They're going to be people are going way high. At the end of the panel, the very end, the big announcement, the big Muppet announcement was that Figment was going to be a meet and greet character at Epcot starting tomorrow. And then they ended up singing the song Imagination on stage. That was the Muppet Connection and the song. So what happened was that our expectations were so high, we thought it was going to be a ride. And now they're announcing meet and greets of the Figment character, which is a great thing, but it's not where it's too much. This is too much of a gap. This started happening at the last D23. I was sitting there, and I remember I was so excited, and they had Jon Favreau come out. Jon Favreau is amazing, right? And he came on stage, and I'm thinking, like, this, basically, George Lucas is Star Wars, right? But if anybody's close right below him, that'd be John. And he's out there, and they have this huge announcement. My mind is going like what's he going to announce? What's he going to announce? He's going to announce maybe a new ride in Galaxy's Edge. What is he going to announce? This is going to be amazing. And he comes out, and what do they have him announce? They have him announce a character meet and greet. He's going to have the Mandalorian and Grogu. And that was the big announcement. That's the first thing. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, and my mind couldn't wrap around. I'm like, they had John do this announcement for a meet and greet. That just means, my mind was thinking, that means that such big announcements are becoming that they couldn't even slot him in because the announcement was even too big for Jon Favreau. But what I didn't realize was that was the big announcement right there. And they had John there to do it. It was this meet and greet. Our expectations are not being met. Disney, I love Disney. I think they're amazing. I think it's a very innovative company. But for somehow, somewhere, we are not getting these ideas. I think the reason was because it used to be D23. I mean, I remember when they had a D23, people were like, we learned about Tron. We learned about like Galaxy's Edge, these huge things. And now we're learning about meet and greets. So they announced, for example, in this D23, Destination 23, they announced the Hatbox Ghost is going to be coming to Florida. But everybody's like, are they going to add it to the ride? They're like, no, he's going to be a character. It's going to be like a meet and greet. We kind of walk around, maybe do like a meet and greet. And so people are like, oh, okay, that was interesting. And then they announced Figment. That was a meet and greet. And then they also announced that they're going to do this Country Bear Jamboree, and they're going to retheme the songs. And we all kind of maybe saw that one coming a little bit because they're talking about some of those songs, right? Maybe they don't fly in this day and age. My girlfriend's not pretty, but you don't swear none, and Blood in the Saddle. They're probably going to get rid of those songs, and they gave a tease that they're going to be adding new songs to Country Bear Jamboree, so they'll probably get rid of the old songs and have new songs. That was announced. They also talked about Epcot, the test track. They're going to retheme the test track ride. And Disney seems to be going all in on taking an old attraction and retheming it, because they announced test track retheme. They also announced, and this was kind of weird, they announced in Animal Kingdom, like Indiana Jones. But they didn't really get into specifics, but everybody's like, wait, so are you saying that the dinosaur ride is going to become the new Indiana Jones? Are they just going to retheme that? That's kind of what they're saying, but they didn't come out and literally and say it. And I think that's causing a little more frustration with some of the fans too. They feel like Disney's kind of being kind of coy. They're like, "Hey, we might do Indiana," but then they don't tell you what. They're like, "But what is it exactly?" And I think that's causing a little bit of frustration. We're used to Disney coming out, staking their claim and saying, "This is what we are going to do, and you're going to love it," and we did love it. And now they're coming out and doing a lot of things called Blue Sky. Blue Sky in the business term, in the business world, Blue Sky works like this, and Disney does it very different. Blue Sky in the business world is a CEO will sit down with some like thought leaders and say, "Hey, all right," and they usually give a little speech like this, like, "If you had a magic wand, no budget, what do you want to do? What could we do? What is it? What is the one thing you want to do? What's your wish?" And some employees get it, and some don't. Some employees who don't get it, they say stuff like, "Oh, we wish we had Lucky Charms or a cereal bar for every employee every morning. That'd be great." And the CEOs, if you have a good CEO, they're like, "Oh, that's great." And they take notes and act like every idea is a good idea, even though that maybe it's not the best idea. But then you get some employee in there who gets it, and all of a sudden they're like, "You know what I hate? I hate filling out medical forms. I go to the doctor's office. Every single time I go to the doctor's office, I have to fill out a medical form. You know what'd be sweet is if I just took my driver's license, I put it in a little slot and had all my medical history right there and had everything there." They're like, "Hey, welcome, Chris. Put my driver's license in, I pull it out, and they're like, take a seat. I don't have to fill another form because it has everything there, and it's just listed there for the doctor to see. And every time I go to the doctor's office, they update my medical record and it's stored right there on my driver's license." That's what I would like to do. That's a Blue Sky idea. And the CEO at that point would be like, "Can we even do that?" And everybody's like, "No, we can't do that." And then the CEO would pull you aside and says, "You know what? I love the idea. If you have a forward-thinking CEO who's not averse to risk," and he's like, "I'm going to give you 18 months, a limited budget, come up with a protocol, and don't disappoint me." And then you got all this pressure to do your Blue Sky idea. Blue Sky ideas are closed ideas usually, and you keep them secret until you can actually produce the product. So if I was able to do that product, that medical records with a driver's license, then like 2 years later, we'd have a huge conference like, "Guess what, guys? Our driver's licenses now can take care of everything for us," blah, blah, blah. Disney is doing the exact opposite. What they're doing is they're talking about these things like, "Hey, do you want to know what we could be doing? We might be working on this. We might be working on this." They're not giving us concrete ideas. It almost feels like they're using D23 as a focus group. They'll announce something like, "Hey, how do you guys feel? We might be doing Villains Land." And everybody's like, "Yes, Villains Land." I feel like Disney's like, "Oh, they seem to like that, so we'll keep doing that." And then they announce something else, like, "We might be doing this." And then they're like, "Oh, we didn't get a lot of audience reaction, so we're not going to be doing that." It feels a little weird. They talk a lot of Blue Sky in these last two D23s. They're like, "This is what's possibly going to be happening." And I think that's what's causing a part of this gap of client expectations, because we don't want to hear what might be, what these cool things. We want you to come out, and we want Disney to come out and be like, "This is what we're going to do. We're going to take the dinosaur ride. We're going to retheme it to Indiana Jones, and you're going to love it. It's going to be awesome, and you're going to love it." And that's what we want. We don't want these kind of speculation things that are going on. So it's a little bit different. I mean, we've got these. They made some announcements, but a lot of people they've left feeling disillusioned. And I've been thinking about this all day. I'm like, why are people feeling disillusioned? Why are they upset? People were upset in the chat. I think it's this. Our client expectation is not being met by Disney. Disney used to set the bar super high and we'd be down here. And all of a sudden, we have now come up here and now we feel like Disney's down here. And that's what I think is going on. There's simple ways to fix this. Disney, if you want to use D23 to announce character meet and greets, and that's what we do, then tell everybody beforehand, say, "We're going to announce the best characters you've ever heard of your entire life." And then when we go there, we know we're going to do this, because everybody who goes to D23 is thinking what? New rides, new lands, what's the new amazing hot project that Disney's working on? And when those aren't being really announced or in any sure concrete, people get a little frustrated with that. I think that's why people are frustrated. But if you tell people up front, "Hey, we're not doing that anymore. You know what we're going to announce? We're going to announce all the cool marketing meet and greets that you guys can see and love." And these are really cool because they'll start tomorrow. It's awesome. That'd be awesome. I mean, they did that. They did that with the Quantum Hulk. They did that with Grogu and the Mandalorian. And now they did that with Figment is going on out there. And so we can do that. It's fine. It's not a problem. We just have to figure out, get our expectations in line with Disney. That's kind of what I think is going on. I think also that people are frustrated by Blue Sky. We don't want to hear what you might be working on. We want to hear what you are doing and are going to do. And I think that causes a little bit of frustration for some other people as well. So, I mean, this isn't really this is not a big, massive problem. It's just that I think that's what's going on. This is my take, my hot take on it. I think that's what's going on. I'm just trying to figure out why this is going on. Like, here's another example I could give you. They announced at D23 this new Avengers e-ticket ride. It's going to be Avengers Campus and Disney California Adventure. We're going to be fighting King Thanos. They didn't really give us a lot of information, but they did do an update today. They said it's going to have a cart that's a world jumping cart. That's all they said. That's literally all they said. And everybody's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Is that like Rise? Is it going to be on a test track, or is it going to be a trackless system? I mean, okay, that's cool, but we want either more information or keep it a secret and then blow our socks off when you come and tell us what's going on. But when you're piecing these things together, I think that people are getting a little frustrated. Like, well, what does that even mean? We want these hard, concrete things. These are my thoughts. Put them down below. Did I miss the mark? I might have missed the mark. Maybe everybody was super happy, and maybe I just happened to be reading all the negative comments. I was just kind of shocked because I really thoroughly enjoyed D23. I like being there, I like seeing what's going on. And it was kind of shocking to read all of these comments. People were not happy with what was going on. And I just can't get that thought in my mind. Why are people not happy right now? And my only thing I could really come up with is missed expectations. So, of client reality, that's what it is. Put down in the comments down below if I'm right or wrong. I guess I'll talk to you guys later. Hit the subscribe button. Bye-bye.